What's up, everybody, and welcome to the TTV Podcast Book Club show thing.
How's it going?
Do we have a name for this? We don't really have a name for this, do we?
I think we were going to go with the TTV Book Club, yeah.
Why don't we
Is it
call
just
it?
book club?
Why don't we call it the library, like that Halo level?
Wow.
Library?
That's,
Yeah,
it's actually
like
interesting.
We're
The
picking
hardest
books
level.
out from the library.
That sounds really stupid.
Thank you, Var.
I like
I'm
book
glad
club.
that
I don't
you.
know what is wrong with book club.
I like Book Club.
I think,
It's
book
nice,
club's
it's
fine. I just
simple,
wasn't sure if that was the name or
to
not.
the
I
point.
think it's a name. Oh, I mean, you know.
Before we get too far into this, let's just go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm Var.
I'm messing it.
I'm LJ.
I'm Kahi.
TTV Book Club, woo. Why'd you go ahead of me,
And
man?
we're going to be talking... Yeah, I know, right? Well, because I'm the one who introed it, so it just makes more sense that I went ahead of you, you know?
Yeah,
So,
I know.
So.
The CEO gets
It's-
the big bucks, you know?
Yeah, man.
Big headliner.
Yeah, like if you did the countdown and the sync and the introduction, then maybe you can go ahead of me. But it's just like
Whoa,
doesn't make any
maybe.
sense maybe, yeah. For this episode session countdown. For this shut up. For this session, we're going to be talking about Chapter 1, going over Chapter 1 of the recent BioNICLE book. What was it called? again?
Island of Lost Masks.
Island of Lost Mask. So if you want to hear out this discussion, feel free to read Chapter 1 before this. And we all read Chapter 1 before this recording, so now we're all prepared and ready to discuss and really delve deep into all the intricate I was about to say awfulness. but
Off the walls.
Awesome.
Wow.
stuff.
awesomeness
Harsh.
of Chapter 1.
Man, you're gonna start off like just like
Listen.
that, huh?
Like, we've waited for this book
Yeah.
for so long. It sucks. Gosh.
It doesn't
No,
suck.
it doesn't.
There are
There
certain
are a
aspects
few-
about it.
There are a few interesting things I do wish to point out, though.
Well, that's
We'll
the point
get
of
into
book
that in a
club. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. So, to start things off, Chapter 1, The Heroes Arrive. We've got our little introduction with Bing Zach, our lovely little jungle protector.
He's awesome.
He's a cool dude. He's running from skull spiders and stuff. And he gets saved by Nilku. But first, before that, he's running towards his hiding place after his village got destroyed by a pack of skull spiders.
I gotta wonder what that could entail. What is his hiding place?
I'm assuming it's just like a rock or something, like a hole in a cave. Or
I think
something like
Bingzak has a whole shack that he it's like a safe house that he goes to.
Yes,
the big
Meso.
Zach
He's got his
shack.
very own
Of
Jack
course.
Shack set up in the middle of nowhere.
that. Jack of Shacks.
Jack Shacks.
Jack. He's a cool guy.
I do want to point out that this book has some interesting things, like very odd word choice. IMO. Like, I don't know. I feel like the wording for a lot of the sentences in this book are just awkwardly handled, and it seems like there had been a better way to say certain things. Like, even just the very first sentence for this chapter, I'll read it out. When the young boy saw the skull spiders skittering toward him, he screamed and accidentally dropped the long stick he'd been carrying as a weapon before he turned and started running for his life.
Yeah, no, I get you. That
This was like-
that.
that
That
just-
just
they
a little.
could have had a better
That
way.
is a weird sentence, right? I'm not the only one that thinks
No,
that.
you're
I
right.
agree. And there's a few of them later on too. But
Yeah, it seems like a pretty common occurrence. Like, it's just... I don't know. It's the wording in this book is really weird.
yeah.
Also, another thing that I noticed. Another weird thing about this book is a lot of the forced...
Set plugging.
Yeah,
Advertising.
set plugging and story plugging, trying to like give us this exposition, like especially at the start of the second paragraph. It's like, well, at the end of the first paragraph, actually, it's like he came to a quick stop, like he was being chased by the skull spiders and they were blocking his way. But directly after that, it's followed by, like all the people on the vast island of Akoto, the boy wore a sacred mask.
I know it's
And then it just
exposition.
continues the story. It just keeps going. It's like, what? That sentence was so randomly placed there. It did not need to be there.
Right.
Now, that begs a question, though. In regards to the story, what does his mask do? Like,
I mean,
what's
what
the
did
point
the
of
Torn
him
masks
having a
do?
mask? Because
As
we know
of-
with the Toa, they have to have the masks because of their powers. We know with the Protectors, same thing. What about everyone else? What do their masks do? What is
I
the
mean-
point of them?
I mean, let's
Having
also
them.
face it.
Yeah,
Right?
it's no different than G1.
Well, everybody. The thing is that in G1, everybody had a different mask, which made sense for G2 Because there's mask makers. Their job is to make masks, and apparently the different masks they make are so rare and valuable that, everybody like Akimu's better than Makuda's. But if everybody's wearing the same mask, I don't know, it seems a little weird.
I mean, here's my thing, because in the Matoran universe, all the Matoran wore masks, otherwise they'd fall into a coma. What happens if these guys lose their masks?
Well,
I guess been hinted.
The answer is kind of here, but that it's kind of delved into a little bit on later on in the book. At least as far as the Toa is concerned. I'm not sure if it's the same thing with the Matoran, the Protectors.
All we know about them,
I honestly don't know.
All we know about their masks is that once their mask is taken, it's said they fall under control of the Lord of Skull Spiders.
Well, yes.
Yeah,
if they're taken by a Lord of Skull Spider minion. But what if it just falls off?
These are good questions.
I'm just going to assume that if they lose their mask, they also pass out and lose energy and stuff. Because that's what we've seen so far in the animations and everything. Like once Leo got his mask taken, he instantly lost all of his energy.
Probably. It seems like their mask is directly tied to almost their life force. Really.
Yeah, and that would make sense since masks seem to be a really big deal in this universe, and being a mask maker is such a big thing. So
what is, when it says that Ikimu made better masks than Makuta, what does that entail?
I would assume
maybe
stability. It's like Makuta is the cheap Chinese knockoffs.
Yeah.
And
or it's just I would assume that
So
Akimu's mask could just kind of provide more vitality, more energy.
Yes. Or that.
And yeah, Makutas just aren't as good.
It's a good theory. What if, and this is just they're the only canon we have so far, but what if the animations got it wrong when they showed all the villagers having the same mask, and only protectors wear the protector mask, and everybody has a different mask?
That would make logical sense. I would actually believe that.
That would work.
That would make sense, but I don't know. It feels like that would have been explicitly stated if that was the case.
I know.
It is interesting that they say on the website we have direct quotes that say there are thousands of different mask powers and variations, and it's like, who wears them? Do the villagers wear them?
Yeah, where are these masks with all these powers?
I would like some lower level powers be given to the villagers, the Akodoans.
Exactly.
I don't know what they call them. But there's a mask of speed, but it's like a tiny mask of speed, and they can just
There's probably
run a little faster,
an underground market where all these masks are being sold on the black market or something.
Nice.
People all these villagers need to get their fix on these certain powers,
no.
and you've got what is the sport in this?
Mask of
Hammer
Hammer
Flush?
Flush.
Hammer Flush, yeah, I imagine the athletes in Hammer Flush are sneaking in
oh my
masked.
goodness.
Can you believe that? Can you believe they have they have mask training, tests, drug tests, and they have a person going, all right, move your mask and step on the weight there, all right, run.
Nice.
Or no, they're like, sir, he's running faster than you should be, calculating everything in. They're like, you've been taking.
Is he just really talented?
He's really
talented.
talented.
He's on
Is
mask.
exercise?
What if
is
one
he
dude
using a
starts
mystical
bribing
magical object?
What if one dude starts bribing the mask makers to make these really outrageous powers, like mask of hammer proficiency?
I mean, maybe that's why Akimu is so much more popular than Makuta, because Akimu is secretly handing out the drugs to all the
He's
villagers.
bought out by more people.
Akimu's their dealer.
I mean, hey, listen, we know that these guys have kids too, so it's hey, mask of getting really smooth with the ladies.
Oh
yeah.
Oh no!
This is like the love potion mask.
Yeah, no, like in Harry Potter.
Oh no!
You put on the mask and that's probably why. No, actually, that's probably why Makuto is he probably promised that he could make a lot of them, and it didn't work out, and people were really pissed off at Makuta, and that's why they loved Akimu so much. Because
maybe
Makuto was like, "No, I can get you this girl, no problem, man."
I can buy that.
One thing that still hasn't been touched upon in this is is Makuta and Akimu are they the leaders? Do everyone follow them, or is there a higher power that's in control?
I would
of the villages and
assume
stuff?
that they are the leaders based on what's been presented to us thus far.
I would
wouldn't
argue
assume
against that. Yeah, I wouldn't say that at all. They're held in high esteem, sure.
We've heard no mention of anybody else.
Here's how I'll put it to you.
Actually.
I'll put it to you this way, okay? I wouldn't say that the Pope is our leader, but the Pope is pretty well esteemed in the general world community. If the Pope said something, people would kind of pay attention to it, But at no point are we like, oh no, the Pope said something, and now all our entire government now bends to what the Pope says. He's just kind of like a really respected dude.
So wait, are you saying like Akimu and Makuta would be like that Pope figure?
Like, yeah, like if the Pope would have, instead of like being a religious figure, he made weapons and masks and stuff. So if he was an engineer, if the Pope went to MIT, yeah,
I would assume that to be true nowadays, post Great Cataclysm. Now that all the villages have been established, because the protectors are the leaders of each individual village, Makuta and Akimu were gone. But back in the day, when they all lived in cities together, I don't know. I would think the mask makers would be the supreme authority, and if not them, then their parents who made their masks, or the figures.
Oh, yeah, by the way, we don't know.
Like the city of the mask makers too.
Well,
but I mean, I also don't know if the official title is City of the Mask Makers.
I would say like the City of the Mask Makers is their city that they built, sure, but that doesn't mean that they're in charge of all of the protector and the villagers
all
and
the
stuff.
other villages and cities that we have heard of. It's just one of many.
The capital city.
Yeah, exactly, the capital.
In which case they would still be the general.
And speaking of which, this was also something that we touched upon in the TTV podcast, but it does seem like from this wording that is given to us in the book that there are multiple villages.
Yes.
And Bing Zach's village was only one of the multiple jungle villages, and his was completely wiped out.
Which, by the way, is barely touched upon in this book. Like,
barely touched upon.
Like this, you have a kid, like a young kid, and his entire, like, his family and his friends and everything he's ever known is demolished. And he comes across a guy, and he's like, everything I've ever known is gone. And the guy's like, I'm lost. Oh, I can get you there. That's it.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's touched
I guess
upon.
with that said, let's, to move on a little bit. So the Skull Spiders kind of chase, Bing Zach down, and it seems like he's, going to bite the dust. But then, suddenly, sandblasts come out of nowhere and take the Skull Spiders out, and boom, it's revealed that Nilku is here. And Nilku has been wandering around in the village, trying to find the Temple of Time, and is obviously lost. So Bing Zach leads the way. And it's really funny that you mentioned that, Kai, because it is literally like, oh, I've lost everyone I ever loved or cared for. Well, no point in me being here anymore. Time to go with you.
Can you imagine if, like, you grew up, you're 10 years old, and your entire city is burned to the ground.
Yeah.
And you run off, and you meet this guy who you've kind of heard of. So it's like, you meet an actor. You meet Channing Tatum. And you're like, oh, you're Channing Tatum. I've seen you in 22 Jump Street. He's like, yeah, I'm on my way to Hollywood. I'm kind of lost. He's like, no worry, Channing Tatum. I know how to get to Hollywood.
Listen, it makes perfect sense. Bing Zach has nothing else to do with his time. What's he gonna do? Go back?
It's just like, but you would think he'd be like, I need to go back to my village and mourn the dead.
No. These people on Okoto, they're practical. Okay,
okay, fair enough. He doesn't need to go back to his village and mourn the dead, but like, it's like in the Walking Dead game, right? Like, you come across Clementine, there's a little girl, he plays a guy, you come across this girl, and she's just, and the zombie apocalypse has happened, and that's a bit more realistic in how that's handled. But it's still a thing where I feel like they brush over the fact that everything he's ever known is dead.
They
like
definitely do.
His dad's dead, his mom's dead. If he had any brothers and sisters, they're dead too.
No, you gotta remember, they're
to
not
clarify,
dead.
Yeah, to clarify, they aren't actually dead.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, I will touch upon that a little bit a little later on in this chapter, because they do mention something really interesting that I want to point out regarding that. But something that does kind of confuse me is, like, we know that, like, Nilku explicitly states that, oh, we've lost a lot of villages to the Skull Spiders already.
Yeah.
There have been several villagers that have been taken by Lord of Skull Spiders, and Lord of Skull Spider can directly control them. My question is, if that's the case, why is he still using Skull Spiders to raid the villages? Why isn't he using, like, his army of mind-controlled villagers?
These are very good questions.
This is probably what happens. Lord of Skull Spiders, he used the mask and control of these people, right? But he controls spiders more because if you're a spider and you have 8 legs, and you take control of a person that has 2 legs, you gotta get used to that. That takes mental power to get used to, like, oh, I'm now walking, and I have hands with opposable thumbs, right?
So you're saying, like, he wouldn't do it because of the strain.
Right. I would assume it's the same way, like, if I had to handle a spider.
That seems like a really
I don't believe
poor...
that.
That seems kind of like a poor decision then for your main plan to be to invade villages and mind control all the people.
That's like that
Fair
one
point.
movie, that one Mel Gibson movie, Signs. Like the aliens come to Earth.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Their weakness
like,
is
just
water.
like
Well,
M. Night
gee
Shyamalan
willikers, why'd you come to
movie?
Earth then?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
like what? This seems like a really dumb idea.
From what we're
This
saying,
66% water.
Well,
sure, we'll go here.
From what we're to understand, the Loss's goal, at least as it's mentioned in the book and other medium, is to find masks. That seems to be what he's doing. He's looking for masks. So perhaps he has his troop army out searching the rest of Okoto for masks that have been scattered.
Well, okay,
or
but
lost.
see, the thing with that is you would think that he would use the villagers, since they are actual, like bodies that can carry weapons and stuff that are not spiders, to then attack the villages, whereas the rest of the skull spiders can then hunt for the masks.
It makes no sense. I'm just being super devil's advocate here.
I guess if he needed more people to search the island, but it's just like why? Like, he doesn't need a whole army
I
of
completely
people.
agree with you. Loss and Kulta, by extension, are both poorly defined villains with no clear purpose or goal. And, in fact, it runs contradictory to Makuta's overall goal.
Okay, well, how's about we give them one?
We'll get to that later.
Well, hold up. I mean, they don't need to be in tandem with Makuta's goal. They're two different characters. They can have different opposing.
No, from what we are to understand, they are under Makuta's control.
They are under Makuta's control, or at least they.
No, Loss is as well.
No, Loss is also That's
mentioned later on in the book, if the protectors are to be believed.
Now, we don't know, if they are, actually under control of Makuta, they've got no control at all over their actions, or if they are actively working for Makuta.
Yeah.
Right.
That is unknown.
I would assume that Loss is just if it is just me theorizing, I would assume Loss is a construct made by Makuta to do his direct bidding, and Kulta is someone that is under his control that existed prior. Which may explain some of the inconsistencies, but we'll get to that later.
I suppose, but how could Makuta make Loss then?
Mask control, I guess?
He doesn't have the mask of control.
Can't create
How did you know that?
The mask of control.
Oh, you're right. We don't know about the mask of control.
Yeah, we don't.
He doesn't have mask of creation.
Because Ikimu does, but Makimu doesn't have his mask because it was stolen from him.
There's a mask called the Mask of the Skull Spider, Golden Mask of the Skull Spiders, and it's never been seen once in story.
Oh yeah,
and what it does is it controls the Skull Spider army through a telepathic link. And we don't know what it is.
I mean, we also are forgetting the fact that Makuta is a mask maker and can probably just make a mask whenever he wants.
Which, by the way, is awesome.
It is pretty cool.
That's way better than him creating Karada that had vaguely interpreted powers like psionics and acid and stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, Nilku meets Bingzak.
Yeah, Nilku meets Bingzak, and he follows him around, and Bingzak leads Nilku to the Temple of Time, and we meet the rest of the protectors. They are all gathered there. Bingzak's all like, "Wow, this must be a really big deal! Holy crud!"
Yeah.
And we're given all the names for the protectors. We've gone over that in the podcast.
Copious amounts of plugging of their weapons.
Copious amounts of plugging of their weapons. So yeah, that is the thing that this book does. It really plugs the weapons. It goes a bit too descriptive with their weapons IMO. But
what can you do?
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You gotta sell a toy somehow.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess you gotta.
Speaking of selling, I promise I'm not gonna talk about this too long. But you just made me remember with advertising. Why do they not promote this book on BioNICLE.com? I gotta ask this question.
That's a good question.
That's a really good question.
There, go on.
Actually, yeah, no, that's a really good question. If you don't follow us on YouTube, how are you supposed to know that this is a thing?
They never did it in G1 either. Never once did they ever put a book on the website or BioNICLE
That's really
store.
weird.
I don't know why. It's so disconnected. They're to blame for the bad book sales.
Yeah, that's really weird.
That's really true. I never saw anything about a Hero Factory book. I never saw anything about anything. Can you buy those books from Lego Store?
Maybe.
No,
I don't think so.
Actually,
I don't think you can.
I think you actually can.
Oh, no, I think I remember seeing Ninjago books in the Lego store.
Yeah,
okay.
I remember that.
All right. Just felt like.
But yeah, continuing on with the story, they meet the rest of the protectors. They're wondering why Nilku is late, and Bingzak sticks up for him and comes up with this lie to retain his dignity, which is cool, I guess.
Teaching kids
you
to
need
lie.
To save
Great
face,
morals,
children.
Lego.
Lie.
Yeah,
lie about your problems, everybody.
Do not tell the elders about your problems.
Don't admit fault.
Don't do that. Hope that somebody will lie for you.
Get someone to lie for you.
It's
save their life. Or, no, intentionally put someone in danger so you can save their life so that they are forever indebted to you so that they can then lie for you whenever you want them to. They're basically your personal slave.
And you say this is bad advice? Politicians do it all the time. So you don't worry about it.
There you go. Turns out being Zach was a slave all alone. He never had any choice.
We all watch House of Cards, okay? We know what's going on.
No, we
Well,
don't.
we don't all watch House of Cards.
I forgot you guys
actually.
don't watch it.
Only
Okay.
me and you watch House of Cards.
That's basically everybody that's important.
Excuse
Wow. You know what? Just carry on with the story.
me. Yeah, you better.
So then the Protectors proceed to pull out the Mask of Time.
Dun 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 dun.
out
Mask
of
of
the vault.
Time.
Yeah, the Mask of Time.
Yeah, the book's lying. It's misdirecting us.
Miscommunication.
Listen, the thing about the Mask of Time, though, and it kind of bothers me,
Okay.
because it feels like a really big tease.
Mm-hmm.
they bring up the Mask of Time, they have it in a vault, and they have it out for like 5 seconds before they just put it right back up, and it's never touched upon again.
And we never even
it's
get
not
any
addressed,
description
it's
of
not
what it is.
explained. We don't even get a description of how it looks or anything. It's just they had a Mask of Time.
I think
had a
that's
Mask
going
of
to be
Time.
a
It's foreshadowing. It's gonna go. The Mask of Time.
Foreshadowing.
We know it's
No,
coming
no,
back.
no.
They're not gonna not use the Mask of Time.
No.
I don't think it. I mean,
Listen.
Okay, like we can hope it'll come back, but I mean,
Listen,
there's no guarantees it's going to come
This is
back.
going to be a trend with G2, I feel, because you're right. You said it earlier. We have mask makers, and they can create a mask of basically anything. So I have a feeling as G2 goes on, we're going to see a lot of masks that are just created to fill plot points and then are not used again.
You see, I don't think that with this mask, especially with how heavily they've been, like, kind of teasing and
I'm mainly speaking about the golden mask of skull spiders, but this mask kind of goes along with that too.
Well, no, they've been teasing the Vahi and like everything.
Yeah,
By the way,
that's
have
what I
we-
mean. They've been
have everybody
Easter
found
egging it.
the new
There we go.
Vahis in the new animations?
They've stopped
Have
with
those been
that.
found?
There are no
They've-
more Vahis. What they do
Oh.
instead is they use the Okoshian alphabet. I mean, like the actual alphabet from the book, not the one that's in the animations.
Right.
And there's one hidden letter in every other animation, and we think by the end of it, it's going to spell out unity because we have like a U, an N, and an I thus far.
That is really lame.
Yeah, what the heck?
That is like the lamest thing ever.
Said the owner of the Three Virtues podcast.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
That
we
being
came
said,
up with that
no,
name when we
yeah.
were kids. These guys aren't like. I mean, it's just like you would do something a bit more special than just like.
Well,
a
I mean, for a
stupid
lot of people,
one-word
a lot
thing.
of people, it means a lot. You know, Unity
does
I
it?
Destiny.
appreciate it because
They say it like every 5
I
seconds.
mean, I'm
I
saying a lot of people. I'm not
appreciate
saying me. Don't ask me. I'm saying to other people, man.
I appreciate
Some
it
people
because
like it.
they're actually featuring the book alphabet, which hasn't been used anywhere.
I
So,
feel like they
hooray
should
for
encode
consistency.
like
Yeah, but
messages.
it's just like I wish that they would have
the episodes.
like an actual thing.
Right, like look, you take a screenshot and it's like an actual message written on like a
Right,
frame.
like an actual like clue or something that we could piece together.
Yeah. That
would be nice.
It could be something incredibly vague.
right, like just
some,
mysterious sounding. I'd be
like
okay with that.
yeah, mysterious.
No,
and
no,
we
like
have no
it's,
clue what it means, but
I do agree.
or like a code to crack or something. Like what seems like seemingly random letters that we would have to then like associate with something to figure it out, make it a bit more fun. But just Unity.
Well, I mean,
That's so
hey,
lame.
look, let's be fair. We don't know it's Unity. We just know it's Uni. All right, it could be University. We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Unicorn.
It could.
Unicorn.
It could be Unified.
How many-
University.
Well,
Wait,
Uniter.
Uniter.
Oh,
Well, actually,
yeah, it could be
it's
United.
in every other episode, and there's like 9 episodes or 10, so there's only 5.
Yeah, I was about to
letters.
ask, like, how many episodes do we have left?
2. Wait, no, what am I saying? 2. No, like
have
one
like
episode
5.
15. 5. Yeah.
So we got 5. Comes out every other. So we've got like what?
2 more letters. Yeah, it's probably Unity.
It's not United.
Rip.
But I mean, like, I mean,
Good
they're
idea.
called
We have
Uniters.
got
for
better
something.
ideas than Lego apparently.
I mean, it's possible we have UNI thus far. Oh, actually, it may not
Let's
even
not
be
get ahead of
UNI.
ourselves.
I may be
Let's not get ahead of
misremembering, but we
ourselves.
have 3 letters.
Oh, come on, Meso. Your
It's-
misinformation is
It's
spreading.
3
Come on.
letters either way, and we have like 5 left. So theoretically, there could be 3 more letters.
Wait. So all that stuff you just said, you just pulled out of your rear, basically.
No, I was right.
So we just sat here for like
Sat here
5 minutes
talking about
insulting
it.
Lego. We don't even know
We're
for
insulting
sure.
the people that watch.
No,
our content.
no.
then
You're
we owe
wrong.
our
You're
entire
wrong.
channel's
You're
content
wrong.
to.
You're wrong.
You're wrong, Kahi. Gosh.
I remember the time, this was a book club, not an animation hopeful club.
We're talking about story,
Man,
man.
coming in
know
with
how
the
to
butt
kill.
skill.
Fine, man.
Okay, fine.
I'm just saying, we
Every
got a
party
book
needs
to
a
review.
You suck, LJ.
Man.
Betty Buzzkill over here. Let's move
Listen,
on.
the whole point of the book club was to have a discussion about this, and if this leads to a good discussion about Bionicle, then we should have it.
I mean, come on.
I mean, we're not reviewing a book; we're discussing the book.
This is a book-centric podcast, Bionicle lore.
It's like BioTalk.
Exactly.
Remember BioTalk?
Hey, we don't talk about BioTalk.
Maybe
That's the
we'll
first
call
rule
this
of BioTalk.
I like it. Let's call it BioTalk.
The BioTalk Book Club.
BioTalk Book Club.
Okay.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the BioTalk Book Club.
Anyway, Mask of Time was a plot point. They put it back up.
It was a plot point, I guess. It was there for 3 seconds. They took it out. They put it on a pedestal, and they made this enchantment that was sort of cool, I guess. But
The prophecy of heroes.
then they took it off and put it right back where it was, and that was basically it from that. It's like they I have to imagine it took them like months or weeks or a long time to travel from their region all the way to the Temple of Time.
Yeah, I know, right? And then they're done in 5
And they're only
minutes.
there for like 3 seconds, and then they all go back.
Hey, man.
They just leave.
Ceremony.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
you know.
I don't know. But they call the Toa down. They don't arrive yet, obviously, but they make the prophecy. Bing Zak's like, "Wow, that's so cool," and they're like, "Oh, well, what if it doesn't work?" And then Narmoto's like, "It has to work."
Pretty much.
And then that was it. Like that's where or at least where that arc ends. Bing Zak goes with Nilku back to the region of Stone, and they all part ways. Days later is where it picks up, and Bing Zak is still with Nilku in the region of Fire. They're like on a sentry tower or something.
Region of Fire?
With a bunch of different sentry guys. What is weird to me is that the book states that the sentries are using swords and spears, which seems a little odd considering we know they have guns. And they use guns.
Maybe
Fair
the
point.
guns are in limited supply because they are expensive to
ammo?
make, so they're given to the elders.
Yeah, I mean, that I guess that's okay, but...
No, he
like
has a point.
It's like that we kind of have to make up a story for this story to make sense.
know.
Hey
you
man,
know?
it's what I've been saying for months. That's G2.
I know,
We should do our own fan
but it's
fiction.
just like...
We could have a book club by our own fan fiction after this is done.
That's so
It is kind of sad that we kind of have to like keep thinking up like, oh, make this up, like maybe this is what happens to explain these like kind of plot holes. Not
Not
really
very plot hole, but
just,
yeah, but stuff that needs to be explained.
just like
It's
things that could really use some explaining.
This is the
Well, I
curse
mean-
of a limited... But 2 things. It's the limited window of storytelling methods. We have 2 major ones. And then also the lack of a person to ask dumb questions to. Like Greg, to get clarification on like the
Yeah.
most minute detail.
And speaking of dumb questions,
no.
freaking Bing Zak looks up into the sky and he's like, "Well, that's strange. I've never seen a constellation move before. I wonder what that could be." Like,
He's 10, give him a break.
How do you know he's 10?
He's
Why would you
dumb.
say he's 10?
I don't know, I'm just saying he's 10 because, like, this is the age I
Kahi,
imagine Bing Zak
that is-
at.
we just know he's not an adult. He
Well,
could
yeah,
be
I
like
know he's not an
17.
adult,
Fair
but
enough.
10 is
You know?
a very specific number.
That's a really good question. I don't know. Whenever I think of kids, I think they're 10.
just automatically
Like,
straight to
10
10.
is,
I mean, he
10
could
is
be
just
5
10 is
for all
old
we know.
enough to be, like, smart enough to go on, like, an adventure, but not, like, when you're a teenager and you
Yeah,
lose
that's
that
fair.
thing, you know? 10 is
That's
just,
fair.
like, right there.
It's like in that in-between
Right,
stage.
right.
True
You
fact.
still hate girls, but you're good enough to, like, wield a sword or a gun.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think 10 years old he started to like girls, but...
Really? It's like, I think it's like 12.
Maybe you're just
I mean,
late
hey,
bloomers.
what are we talking about?
A Bing Zak side novel. His love story was like Narmoto's daughter.
No, he gets really close to someone in his own village, and then the village burns down. And he's like, "Well," like he
Man.
just shuts that. He shuts that out of his mind, and that's how he's just able to be like, "Oh, sure, Channing
Repress
Tatum."
the memory.
Repress the
Like
memory.
years down the line, it comes back to him in this huge story. He becomes a villain.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
So continuing on. Nilku grabs Bing Zak. He puts him behind a wall or something as Pohatu falls from the sky. Ironically, it's like he does that to put him into a safe place, but in the end, he really just put him in danger.
what's the thought
because,
that
like,
counts?
Because like if Bing Zak had gone with Nilku, he would have been completely fine.
You raise
But,
a good point.
Yeah. But Pohatu falls down, crashes on the sand. I thought what a funny description it was when they were like, oh, and then the shockwave sent several sentry protectors flying into the air. Like, wow, that's
pretty massive
interesting.
shockwave.
Like, yeah, like what if Pohatu would just like inadvertently kill all the stone protectors?
That'd be awkward. Great first
Like
impression.
they all
Right.
died from the shockwave.
I mean, we know for sure that he's knocked over some like vase full of some relative's ashes at this rate.
Oh no.
Probably.
Like,
I mean, well, we're only, I guess. See, okay, so another thing that's a little vague is where we actually are, because we know we're in the region of stone, but we're not actually in a village. We're on a sentry tower.
You're right.
So I doubt there's going to be any family bases anywhere, but he probably knocked over.
I mean, let's
some,
also be fair. We don't know if they burned their dead later. If I was made out of metal, I wouldn't burn my dead. Kind of.
yeah, well, that's
you'd like melt
okay,
it down
sure.
into like.
Sure, that's
You can recycle the corpses of all the people that make guns to shoot the skulls.
oh my goodness.
That is some very
so
dark
morbid.
stuff.
I love it. I
It's like
love
Nuke,
that.
That is some dark
Nuke
stuff.
Like,
Sandstone
it's like
Blaster
that-
is his
what's-
father.
What's that thing? What's that game? Bionic Commando, where his wife is like his arm. Remember, you guys remember that video game?
Or it's like a freaking Revenge of the Fallen. Optimus Prime like kills Jetfire, puts him on his body, uses him in one fight, and then he just chucks it away.
Man,
He
as-
just throws away his body.
as I said
like it didn't
earlier,
matter.
people in Okoto are
my parts,
practical.
Optimus.
Gotta take the scrap.
Yeah, the practical mess.
I like this. I like the thing that the people of Kodo are like so practical that they're just completely stone cold.
Naruto
like
built this
just
gun in a
completely-
cave with a corpse of scraps.
Wow.
Anyway.
All
Oh,
right.
that's great. That's
Also,
that's
I gotta say, I
fantastic.
gotta give them props. They use Pohatu and not Tahu to intro the story. I love it.
Yay.
Yay.
Breaking the norm.
They actually,
Yay.
fun fact, actually, Tahu isn't in this book that much.
He's not. He's one
Yeah,
of
I
the
noticed
lesser
that.
featured.
Like,
villains.
without
Okay.
the animations, yeah.
Yeah,
Really-
it's really interesting.
really nitpicky, and it's just 100% personal preference. It would have been great if Kopaka was the first one, because he was like in the first comic. He was like the guy that came down. He was
That'd have been
first,
pretty cool,
You know,
yeah.
it'd be like just
well,
a good.
maybe he'll be in the graphic novel.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Okay,
That would be
I will
cool.
forgive Lego if they have that happen. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be pretty.
That'd
cool.
be awesome.
But continuing on, Pohatu lands. Obviously, he's forgotten everything, but the shockwave sends all the protectors flying. That's cool.
Cool.
Also, they're on a tower. Or like a wall or something, so I'm just wondering, like, how did they stay up there with the shockwave? Like, I imagine them all falling off like Humpty Dumpty or something.
Maybe he had like maybe he's a walled tower with like a window to shoot. Oh wait, they're not using guns. They're using swords.
Yeah, they're not using guns. Which,
Well-
why are they on a sentry tower and they don't have guns? Are they chucking spears?
If there's one place you should have guns, it's probably in a sentry tower.
Yeah, it's on the sentry tower.
You're probably right. Then they're probably throwing spears.
That's really
To which-
ineffective. There's
Why aren't
hordes
they
of
shooting
I
spiders.
have to
arrows,
wonder.
though?
I have to wonder if
You
they
know,
have the
like-
materials to make a ton of spears to chuck. Why can't they make guns?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have no clue how Okoshin technology.
We needed like a landscape on the Okoshin resources. We need to know like what's where and what are they
Yeah,
use.
like a mining facility
Yes.
and all this stuff. Like, where do they get this? But no,
That's all we ever see in
We need the
Onokoto is purple
Banog too.
crystals.
that is true. What are the purple crystals? What are they?
Maybe
used
they're like maybe they're
Power
probably just
sources?
light stones.
It could be power sources.
Anyway.
Like maybe they generate power.
Maybe. Yeah, Pohatu's forgotten who he is. Doesn't remember anything. Nilku is like, you are Pohatu, master of stone, and I am the protector of stone.
So
Nice
racist. why would you use that voice? It's not even the protector.
That was no accent at all. I was just making.
I
a
am
word.
It freaking sounded like an accent.
What accent?
It sounded like a mock Asian accent, like the accent you give to people that are like in, you know.
Oh, I am Niliku, protector of stone.
Well, I didn't realize Asian people were the brown people.
yeah, Kai.
Listen,
Yeah, Kai.
India is in Asia too. Okay, you don't get.
Kai.
Okay, I forgot that people like Indian people were. Okay, listen,
You
we're
forgot
gonna get
about-
off this
you
topic
forgot about
race.
like 1/7 of the
No,
world.
I forgot they were associated with brown.
Listen, let's dial it back and give Nilku a bootleg Australian accent.
Yeah, crikey.
Consistency.
I have no clue how to do an
No,
Australian
wait a
accent.
second.
It's like a
The
British, but you use
fall from
oi.
the stars, right? They wouldn't necessarily have the same accents as the people around them. So what if, like,
Yeah, they wouldn't.
what if the people in Takodo are Asian, and the people in Pokodo are, like, there's, like, a different dialect?
So, like in
different
Avatar:
accent.
The Last Airbender, is that what you're saying? Like the firebenders are Asian, and then so are the airbenders.
but the main point is
Like
that
Narmota.
the Toa have different accents.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
just
I
like
agree with
fish out
different
of water.
accents. I don't know why.
Because, like, for some
Pohatu
reason
has
I
an
have this
Australian
stigma
accent.
in my mind, like, all the people in Pokodo would have, like, Australian accents, but not really.
No,
Not
I
from the
don't-
same species. Anyway,
Yeah, you're right.
but I don't know where Pohatu got that. Like, where did he go to get the Australian accent? I don't know.
good point.
I mean, maybe he did just pick it up from the village. Like, he probably arrived, had no memory of anything, and he just listened to how everyone else talked.
Pretty fast learner.
Yeah, I mean, like, he doesn't have any memory. So, obviously, everything he's going to be, like, influenced with as he arrives is going to be what he remembers most.
Sure, okay, but let's say this: I wake up from a coma in England. Do I just automatically start talking in a British accent because that's how
If you were
everybody?
a robot, probably.
If you were a robot,
If I was, I can't argue.
Yeah.
I can't argue that logic. I guess so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you don't know how these guys are programmed.
He might just assimilate language.
Anyway, so Nilku is actually confused that Pohatu doesn't remember anything, which is interesting. It's an interesting plot point that isn't really touched upon, but I think might be a cool thing to come back to later. I doubt they're going to do it because, Lego and Lego books, but it would be an interesting plot point to touch upon, considering the fact that they're supposed to remember who they are and know who they are.
Nilku just kind of took it for granted that he would know all about the not
Right,
just his
exactly.
name, not just his memories, but that he would know about the prophecy of Hira.
Yeah, and that he would know like what's going on in Akodo and what to do.
That
to
is
stop
interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, but he doesn't, which is really interesting. Like something, either maybe there was miscommunication somewhere, or
Well, it's interesting that,
something
like,
happened to the Toa.
It's interesting that Nilku expects Pohatu to know him. That's interesting.
Not
Because-
him personally.
Well, no, not him. Nilku doesn't expect Pohatu to know him. He just expects Pohatu to know what's going
he says,
on and how to fix
Pohatu,
it.
you don't know about the prophecy of heroes, that you're one of 6 heroes delivered here by comets.
Yeah.
It is your destiny to defeat evil and save our island from it. He just goes reciting the stupid spiel that they all do.
Evil is rising.
Evil is rising and your Toa can stop it. Anyway.
The accents again. What?
That's the accent they did in the animation.
I'm not saying.
What is your problem? Are we not allowed to do accents?
blaming
No one
anybody.
is
I
making.
don't blame- voice acting.
I'm just saying.
No one is saying, "Oh, this is an Asian accent." We're just making an accent. You're the one who's like, "What? You're making fun of Asian people."
I didn't say you're making fun of Asian people. I'm saying the accent you're using sounds like what people use generically as an Asian accent.
Well,
That's what
Kahi-
I said.
Kahi, here, I'll put it to you this way. You're constantly saying that the reason you mispronounce certain things is because you speak in a British dialect. So you're making fun of British people and their accent.
I didn't say it was wrong either. I just asked like, oh, that's your default. That's your default accent is like an Asian accent.
So anyway,
Yeah, moving on.
Pohatu doesn't remember anything. Nilku tries to quickly explain, but then Skull Spider suddenly attacks. So he's like, "No time to explain!" And he pulls a Destiny, and they all rush to the to the wall. They all rush to the wall.
I don't have time to explain why I can't have time to explain.
And Pohatu miraculously remembers how to create a big tornado fly tunnel thing. I don't know how the physics of that works, by the way. But
Nor do
we'll
I,
just
but
suspend
I
our
will say,
disbelief
well,
for a little bit.
what I always assumed was that, in his adrenaline mode, you can put the things on his shoes. I always assumed those were like rotors. And it would kick up the sand around him and form a
Right, so
tornado.
it's not like an actual tornado, it just kind of looks like a tornado.
That's what I presume. And I think that's what
That
the
makes sense.
intent was, but I think
That makes
there have
sense.
been times in the animations where he does it without them on his feet.
Yeah,
So.
he has done it without him. But that makes sense though.
Yeah.
And Nilku's all like, "The legends are true. You do have powers." And then they arrive at the wall, just in time to see Bingzak get taken over by Soul Spider. And they manage to get the Skull Spider off of him, and they get rid of the spiders in this big epic confrontation.
So epic!
Battle. So epic. Now, the thing that I thought was really interesting, let's see if I highlighted it here. Let's see if I can find it.
Oh, it's so awesome having ebook in.
Okay, so there's two things that I thought was cool or interesting.
Two things that
noting.
was cool.
I can feel Bars glare.
Yeah. There was a glare. So one thing was that Bingzak remembers being controlled.
Yes, that is a good deal. Well,
he remembers it being a terrible feeling, and he remembers Lord of Skull Spiders taking over his mind. So that's interesting. I wonder if he can actually remember like all the events that happened while he's being controlled too.
I presume so.
If he fully conscious while he's like stabbing his friend in the back or something?
I would presume so.
Imagine if like
that's pretty crazy.
Imagine if someone gets possessed and they take down a village and they just remember that and like they remember like burning down their home village and they have PTSD.
And they get freed or something and then like they are just completely scarred for the rest of their life.
Done? Oh my god, that's so great! It's such great narrative potential that we'll never see because it's
that we'll never see.
Someone should write that fan
fiction.
People that you build the world, the community makes the moments.
But Kahi, there might be a reason why we would never see that, because the second plot point I want to bring up here comes directly after that, where Nilku says, "But the Lord of Skull Spiders nearly took permanent possession of this boy."
Oh no!
So remember earlier we were like, "Oh, but they're not actually dead. They got possessed by spiders."
Oh no!
Well, they kind of are actually dead, because from what this seems to imply, after a certain amount of time being possessed by the skull spider, you are now permanently under their possession.
You're like a zombie. It's basically, that's it.
You are permanently
This is The Walking Dead. That's what basically the plot of D1 is.
What if,
basically,
another thing to bounce off of that, what if, when they get taken over fully, permanently, the skull spider detaches itself to go look for someone else? Henceforth, these people are just kind of like a life source for the skull spider army.
That'd be cool.
Maybe.
I got a question that's
What?
been nagging at me. I won't harp on it too long, because I know this is just the author giving us exposition. Like he says, "Oh, this is what happens when Lost takes control of the people's minds." Fair enough. I can look past that. But how would they know these things?
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's very
How do
true.
they know
That is
this?
true.
How do they know that like Lost is controlled by Makuta? How do they know all this stuff? Did Akimu leave other?
Well, okay, they
prophecies?
don't know that. They explicitly state. I mean, that's later on in the book. We'll touch on that, but they explicitly do state that they are only assuming. Makuta's controlling them. They don't actually know for sure.
And I guess it's plausible, like, okay, they had permanent possession. Maybe Nilku has seen somebody get permanently possessed, and they didn't snap out of it when they kicked off the
and
skull
there's no way to
spiders.
get them out.
So, okay.
But that's a really interesting plot point. That I mean, I'm assuming they're going to bring that back up again in like the next book or something,
Revenge
because
of the
like
Skull
that
Spiders.
seems like a pretty interesting thing to bring up.
Imagine
that
they kill
there's
off a
permanent
protector.
possession. Yeah,
That'd be
like,
cool.
Or imagine like, just imagine like we get one of the protectors and they become permanently possessed and they become like a major villain or something later on, and like a big plot point is that all their friends have to take them out.
There's such
That's
potential, but it
cool.
will never.
That's
ever
good.
happen.
That's good. I
I would
like
hope
that.
so, but I don't know. There's a lot of like emotionally driven stories that could come out of just this one single plot point right
It's
here.
like a World War Z book.
There's a lot of potential
Yeah,
here.
he's got a good
I
book.
really hope they expand on that. But that basically wraps up the chapter. They get Bingzak freed, and they stop the skull spider fight, and then Pohatu says like a funny one-liner where he's like, "Have I not defeated evil?" or something like that. Which was, or did I not defeat evil? Which I thought was kind of funny. It was like this like childlike ignorance.
It was a nice
That I
jab,
caused.
because they always like,
Yeah.
it is your destiny to defeat evil. Well, there's tiers of evil.
Right, and Paul just like, well, I mean, I just defeated evil, didn't I?
If
Job
I
done.
like stop
Time
a
to go
dude
home.
from robbing a bank, I
All
defeat
done.
evil.
Evil's over.
Yeah, all
No
done.
more
It'd be
evil.
so funny if he just F's off after that point. Like he's like, oh, job done. He gets in his freaking tornado and just flies back into the sky.
He gets back into the canister, and the canister goes doop, and it goes back into space.
He flies back to his
I'm out.
That's great.
Peace.
Gotta go back to Spherus Magna. I mean,
Ah, no, Meso.
Oh,
Meso, you can't spread misinformation like that.
I
People will
know.
think it's
Yeah.
a continuation.
Yeah, Kahi.
I'm crying tears.
so we are
Figures
then
of
left on a
evil.
cliffhanger. We are then left on a cliffhanger. Nilku mentions that they have to find the golden mask of stone, And as they are about to set off, Pohatu ends the chapter by asking if he could explain a bit more about what's going on and go into a bit more depth of, the memories and the island and everything.
Yeah.
And that closed up the chapter. So that was chapter 1 of Island of Lost Masks.
Good chapter.
Pretty decent chapter for the most part.
It's probably the best chapter in the book.
Oh yeah, let's get this out of the way too. That like
started up strong.
This entire like series will seem like super critical, and like we're nitpicking all this stuff, and it kind of basically is. I enjoyed the fact that this book got made at all, and I think we all enjoyed the book too.
And I'll
to a
say
certain degree.
straight up, no matter how many questionable things we get into later on, because there are plenty, this book fulfilled my quota, and just chapter 1 did good.
Right.
Just one chapter did pretty much everything I had wanted in some
but I mean, it should be pointed out we're only doing this because we love the book and we're enjoying it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of the video series.
Part of the thing. We enjoy stuff, and to enjoy something, you have to. Sometimes it takes to take it apart.
Part of the experience. Yeah, no. So let's kind of just, I guess, give our opinions on this first chapter real quick. A bit like parts you like, parts you didn't like. And like we can start with you, Messer.
Okay. I liked all the exposition, even if some of it was just for exposition's sake, because how would they know that? I can look past that, I can suspend my disbelief that far. I like that we got the Protectors' names. I like that we did get to see the Mask of Time, even if there was no detail at all given about it. I like the introduction of Bingzak, even though he's just a one-off, and he has pretty much no relevance, at least for the rest of the book. I like that he's there, because it establishes a villager character, of which they have been sorely lacking. Additionally, I like that Pohatu get to start things off instead of Tahu, so that's a thumbs up. And, pretty much all. There's some nuggets of world building sprinkled throughout, like the fact that they fight with spears and their forts and whatnot. The whole multiple villages thing, so I liked it. It was good stuff.
Alright.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. Alright, LJ?
I really enjoyed this first chapter. Thought it was great way to start it off. We get it from the actual beginning. It also helps set up a lot of the world outside of Okoto, because they specifically mention that when the stars align, that's when the Toa come down. It's very specific about that. It's not because, like the Prophecy of Heroes, it's kind of like the catalyst, but it's only when the stars align, and that happens just a few days later. I find that kind of interesting that we're already getting hints that there is something outside of this planet that is affecting it, and that they are able to affect things in completely different areas.
Truth.
I also like Meso. I really liked what we got regarding the villages and the island and so on and so forth. I liked that it started off with Pohatu. I liked Pohatu as well. Nilku was fine. Bingzak was completely and utterly useless. But overall, I'm very pleased with it. And
but LJ, he was able to show Nilku the way. Yeah.
Without him, you know what else would have done that? A map. Do they not have maps here?
A map. You would think they would.
Well, they have guns, but no maps.
Yeah, they have guns, but no maps.
They're like normal Americans.
Dora the Explorer had a map, and it talked.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's it for me.
All right, Kai.
Everyone's touched upon the world building beforehand. I like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of worn off now since we got the book excerpts. But if I just got the books for the first time, the fact that we have names would have floored me. I really do like that we have names for each of the protectors, and additionally like a villager character. I'm really excited about that. And starting stuff off before the Toa is, I feel, really important. It's nice to get a glimpse of what the world is like before the Toa. Like that status quo and how things are kind of terrible, and then the Toa come to save them. I do think, one of my main complaints going into this book and coming out of it, and you'll see this repeated throughout all the episodes, is that I feel the dialogue is a little interchangeable between characters. I feel like you could take, not so much of this one. I feel like this one the characters are a bit unique enough, but later on, you can kind of see where you could you could switch character dialogue around. You could just switch the names, and it wouldn't mean anything. So, that's mostly going forward. That's my biggest complaint with this book so far. But so far, I like this first chapter, how it turned out.
All right. As far as me, I enjoyed the chapter. I think it was a really great way to introduce the book. Aside from some awkward wording and a few weirdly placed sentences that felt very out of touch with the rest of the chapter, kind of just randomly placed there, I really enjoyed this first chapter. Characters are really cool. I was glad to see some characters that weren't just sets, like Bing Zack, although LJ thinks he's useless. I thought it was a really cool addition.
I thought so too.
Other than that, everything else has kind of been touched on by everyone else. My opinions of the chapter, 2 thumbs up like Mesa. So
there is a point that LJ mentioned about the stars aligning. I read a theory a while back that the Mask of Time was not used to pull the Toa from a timeline. It was used to speed up the alignment of the stars. Maybe. Because things were getting more desperate, so they needed to accelerate the prophecy, which may have thrown off the timetable and may have caused some problems.
Which might be why they have memory loss.
Perhaps.
That is really interesting.
That's a really cool theory.
I like that.
That is a really cool theory.
A couple things, real quickly. In regards to Bing Zack, I meant he was, like, physically useless. He got taken over and whatnot, and he led Milky, that's fine. But, to the story, he's very useful. The other thing is, on page 10...
He was kind of like our eyes and ears.
Yeah.
For the,
on page 10, Nilku talks to himself.
Yep, there was a typo.
Okay, I forgot. I wanted to point that out. Yeah. There was an error. In one of Bing Zack's lines of dialogue was meant to be said by Bing Zack, but the book says Nilku said.
Chapter 1, and we already got a typo.
Yeah.
Is there another one in the book, perchance?
Probably, but that's the only one I noticed in chapter 1. So
yeah.
With that said, that basically wraps up this first episode of I guess BioTalk Book Club. I will say that for this book, we have actually already read the book. So going forward, we kind of already know what happens as far as this book goes. But I think one thing that we can hope to do for the next book is to start it off with this.
Totally.
I think would be a better idea. That way we can, talk about like what we expected of the book and spoil like what we without being spoiled by the whole story ahead of time.
Totally. Of course, what that would require is for us to sit down and do a giant recording session of like 6 hours.
Or we could just do a chapter a week. We don't have to.
Yeah, we don't have to read it all. We don't have to binge read it.
We don't have to read it all at one time.
I mean, we'll probably be spoiled for the books, like, on our forums
at some point,
and stuff,
but I think that'd be a good thing.
Yeah,
and
it's a good idea.
Could really read along with us.
Right.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun.
I don't think anybody has the self-control for that.
Probably not, but I mean, the people that would want to, they can totally do it.
It's a good idea.
It's an option.
I like it.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's basically it for this. I hope you enjoyed it.
Nice.
This is first foray into using webcams. Hopefully nothing happens as far as recording goes.
Here's open.
I think from now on too, we won't have like giant. I guess we'll have like one book topic on the message boards, but the majority of book discussion, I hope, would be in discussion topics for every show, and we'll put up like a thing, and we can, so you can comment there. That
sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, you can comment there on like chapter 1. You can post in the comments below anything to get our attention, stuff we may have missed, stuff you want us to address in the next chapter, that kind of thing. Just we want this to be a real member, viewer engaging show.
Yeah.
That
is really important. We definitely want feedback as far as like what you thought of the book as well, because we hope to for the next episode, kind of, if you bring up any points that we didn't talk about or anything, we will probably address those.
Right.
Exactly.
So, like, if you notice any other errors, like the Nilku thing, or if there was a big plot point or theory that you had that was interesting, we'll probably bring that up, kind of like what we did with the Mask of Time.
Right.
So yeah.
But yeah,
that's basically everything. So thank you all for joining us. Hope you enjoyed. And we'll see you next time. I'm Bar.
I'm Mesa.
I'm LJ.
And I'm Kahi.
Goodbye.
Farewell, everybody.
We should make this a Vessel exclusive just to make everyone mad.
We totally should. No, we should totally do it.
If you want the video version of this, go to Vessel.com.
Yeah, if you want the video version.
I like that.
Now that's not a half bad idea.
That's not
that actually isn't.
That's a really good idea.
That's actually a really good idea. That is a great... Oh, man, everyone's going to be so mad at us when they actually watch this and they hear this audio and they're like, you screwed us! We were supposed to have the video!
I'm going to be hated so much more for this, aren't I?
We should do like the first episode
just blame it on me.
And then
I'll do it.
Like on YouTube.
Okay,
I'll endorse it.
Do a trial run and hook people with like episode 2.
That might be too much of a tease.
No, I think we should do that.
That might upset them a bit more.
We don't want to be the Mask of Time here.
No, we want to be able to provide a better experience for our Vessel viewers. I think that's a good idea.
The vessel,
So I think I actually like that idea a lot. So